Hello, Phantom fans. My name is Sam Olmstead. His name is Justin Irwin. This is the Dump and Chase podcast. Now, once you are a month into the season, you start to get a grasp of what the identity of the team is going to be. You see what is working and what is not working, what the team needs to do to succeed, and what will cause it to fail. This past weekend, we saw all of that on display, and we will dig into that in this episode. We'll also have comments from head coach Brad Patterson after Saturday's game and an interview with Phantoms defenseman and Phase 2 first-round pick Chris Hedden. So, Justin, it's safe to say that after Friday night, we weren't feeling too confident about the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, was kind of a train wreck for, about 3/4 of the game. When you said you start to get the feel for the personality of a team, I think this one is a little bit more like Jekyll and Hyde sometimes.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you say we start this off with some news and notes? Like we said last week, sometimes no news is good news. Last week, we saw Ocean Wallace sent to Maryland, and after we recorded last week, we found out forward Dylan Wegner was called up from Maryland. Wegner is an 04 birth year from Nashville, Tennessee, who was the Phantoms' Phase 2 12th round pick this past summer. He played in 2 of the 3 games, didn't see a ton of ice time. I can't say that I noticed him a lot, but as a 17-year-old seeing his first USHL action, I would say that's kind of a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, kind of pretty minor transactions, at least, as far as things go this year. Yeah, he got his feet wet, didn't get in over his head. So I guess that's a good thing. And moving on.
Well, we've seen it before. Somebody comes in, plays their first USHL game. They get their first shift about 5 minutes into the game. And 30 seconds later, they're sitting in the penalty box. So
Yeah. They did a good job of having him prepared. He didn't do anything dumb, didn't get caught out of position, take a penalty, so I think we're good.
And this will be more of a note than news, but I wanted to give some big-time stick taps to the Phantoms and everybody in the office for how well this safe trick-or-treat on the concourse went Saturday night. Now, 3-4 years ago, I took my 2 oldest boys to a trick-or-treat game, and there were maybe 4 or 5 tables handing out candy, and the whole thing was over in a minute. A little bit of a dud. But Saturday night, completely different story. There were tables lined up from the entrance all the way down to the locker rooms. I had my 5-year-old with me. He had a blast going down the line. Every kid I saw, looked like they were enjoying it. We even got into it ourselves. Justin dressed up as a cranky middle-aged man. And let me tell you, he committed to the role.
Yeah, and after the game the night before, you might have called it disgruntled hockey fan.
Yeah. I wonder if anybody noticed the guy walking around in the neon orange, wacky waving tube man costume.
Nope. Totally so bright and gaudy that my brain just said, nope, ignore that. Nope, that's not there.
I mean, I hope people noticed because it was me. Now, see, I didn't tell you I was wearing a costume. I said nothing about a costume going into that game. I walked into where you were sitting and just walked up to you and started waving my arms, and you had this look on your face like, get away from me.
Yeah, I think I kind of figured it out as you were walking up. I'm like, oh no.
It's like, oh, he's coming towards me.
Only one person would be walking towards this section dressed like that. It looked pretty cool,
but
it worked.
No, but it was. I mean, there was a couple goals in the first period. I got the jump up, wave my arms around. I don't know how much the people sitting behind me appreciated it, but thankfully I brought my jersey with me. After one period of wearing that, I have like short, stumpy T-Rex arms to begin with, and I was starting to have trouble functioning in that costume because the sleeves and the yellow tassels at the end were about a foot longer than my arm.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it didn't look like that material was, as I would say, breathable.
Yeah. Having to take a 5-year-old for a bathroom break or trying to get your wallet out at the concession stand. After that, at first intermission, I made the decision to just take it off, switch back to my jersey. But we got one period out of it, a couple goals, so I'm almost contemplating sometime later in the season just randomly bringing it back, but we'll see. So, how about we get on to the fun stuff? Take a look at the 3-day weekend of Phantoms hockey we just had. Okay, so we will kick it off the Friday night game versus Cedar Rapids. More of the same from Cedar Rapids. That was a 3-2 loss. About the first 7 minutes, the Phantoms were flying. Forechecking, backchecking was incredible. They were not giving Cedar Rapids room to breathe. Cedar Rapids did manage to get the first goal, and it was all downhill from there. Whatever energy the team had just completely disappeared, and a lot more of the same of the weekend before, just kind of standing around flat-footed. Now, maybe the last half of the third period, after the Phantoms were able to pull within a goal, they picked it up again, weren't able to do anything with it. So yeah, about the first 7 minutes, about the last 10 minutes were really good. Everything in between is where the Phantoms lost this game.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of reminded you of last Friday or the Friday before in Cedar Rapids where we got a tie. But yeah, you kind of start good, you fade off, and yeah, they managed to scrape back into it. Didn't manage to tie it up this weekend and fell 3-2.
So as far as some numbers for the Friday game, the two Phantom goals, that was Justin Varner, his second of the season, and Trey Taylor, his second of the season. That one came on the power play. Shots on goal at the end of the game were tied 20-20. Youngstown was 1 for 3 on the power play and 1 for 2 on the penalty kill. Owen Bartuszkiewicz, he stopped 17 out of 20 shots in the loss. So for him on the season, he has a record of 1 win and 3 losses, with a 3.11 goals against average and an .887 save percentage. So moving on to Saturday, where prospects really started to look up. This was a 4-2 win for the Phantoms. They started hot. They go up a goal 3 minutes into the game, take a 2-0 lead after one. Both teams traded goals in the second and the third, but like I said, in the end, the Phantoms win 4-2. This was a much more solid effort. And, Brad Patterson had talked about after the game, they didn't have so much as a morning skate through. That morning, it was a full-on practice.
Yeah, obviously, after Friday, yeah, some changes needed to be enforced, cracking the whip, and obviously there were some results. Completely different effort from start to finish.
Yeah, I would say this was probably up to this point, and that'll get bumped to second place with the next game. But up to this point in the season, this was probably the most complete 60 minutes the Phantoms had played all year.
I'd rank it in first place only because, I'll get to that later, but I think both teams, had their issues on Sunday, but that was kind of unexpected. But yeah, I think this was the best performance we've seen this year in a lot of terms, other than maybe goaltending.
So, like I said, 4 goals in this game. That was Shane LaChance, his first USHL goal. Jaden Grant, his 4th of the season on the power play. Ryan Alexander got his 5th. And Kyle Bettens got his 2nd of the season, which also happened to be a shorthanded breakaway. The Phantoms 1 for 5 on the power play, 4 for 5 on the penalty kill. Youngstown led in shots at the end of the game, 30-25. Kyle Chavette stopped 23 out of 25 in the win. And this would only be his first start. He would end up with 2 starts in less than 24 hours here. So after the game on Saturday, I got to talk to head coach Brad Patterson, and I asked him what he thought he was most encouraged by after the win that night, and this was his response.
Yeah, I think exactly what we said. There was a significant challenge, I'll leave it at that was presented this morning to the team in general. And, it wasn't, they already went to work. They went to work twice today, and the guys were upbeat. And sometimes it takes that, that challenge or that adversity or whatever to shine through and see your best. And we had some guys who were very vocal without a staff being in the room. I think it's important that a leadership core, takes that team and takes it. And there's definitely guys in there that have, and there's some guys that stepped up last night in that fashion that, were maybe a little bit more vocal about, not only their play, but everybody's play. And I think hearing it from a peer sometimes is a good thing. And then the bounce back effort, exactly what we wanted the first 4 or 5 minutes was, we wanted to outwork, and I think we did that.
And there you go. One more thing we wanted to bring up about this game. This was the injury to Cole Birch. Essentially, what you saw was Cole Birch was bringing the puck into Cedar Rapids' offensive zone right at the blue line. Unfortunately, he was doing it with his head down. He was met unceremoniously by New Phantoms defenseman TJ Schweigart, who the two of them were traded for each other. TJ Schweigart, by all accounts, it was a legal hit, just kind of forearm and shoulder into the chest. Cole Birch was down for a long time. We ended up seeing him be put onto a board, taken off the ice, and left the arena in an ambulance. Of course, in that city, when you see someone getting taken off the ice in a stretcher, you think the worst. Luckily, we've had differing accounts. We wouldn't really talk about it anyways. It's not our place. It looks like, at the very least, it's not nearly as bad as we were thinking it was going to be at the time, sitting there, watching everything go on, everything unfold. You had more information as far as his treatment after the game, I guess we can call it.
Yeah, I mean, what I can credibly put together is that probably that it looked a lot worse at the time once he, was treated. He was released later that evening, and, he managed to catch the team bus home. So he's okay, I guess. I don't know any injury status, but nothing major or threatening. So, obviously that's a good thing. So we wish him the best of luck, just not in the games against us anymore, please.
Yeah. We've had fun drowning our sorrows the past couple weeks of Cole Birch no longer being with us. Two things we want to see is him playing for the Phantoms and him playing healthy. Unfortunately, the one for sure is not going to happen anymore. But no, the talent that Cole Birch is, him being injured, him being out for any amount of time, it's nothing, nobody in Cedar Rapids wants to see. And certainly the equity that he built up over the last year in Youngstown, nobody here wants to see. So yes, wishing him a very speedy recovery. Hope to see him back on the ice sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, I went from wishing I could stop talking about the Cole Birch trade to wishing I could go back to talking about the Cole Birch trade in, the span of probably, a few minutes.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to Sunday. You were there. I wasn't there. I was out trick-or-treating that day. I may or may not have had an earbud in streaming the game on Western Reserve Radio as I was walking around trick-or-treating with my son. I may or may not have scared children on the street during one of the goals. That may or may not have happened. I won't neither confirm nor deny. But yes, the game on Sunday, it was the visiting defending champion, and those aren't my words. Those are every other words that comes out of a Chicago fan's mouth. That was ended up being a 5-1 victory for the Phantoms. The Phantoms scored 48 seconds into the game and then scored again with 38 seconds left in the first period. The Phantoms ended up going up 4-0 before Chicago finally picked up a power play goal with about 2 minutes and change left in the third. Youngstown after that added the empty net again, final score 5-1. I think as far as playing Chicago, they had lost the night before. But their start to the season, I think that first period for the Phantoms was exactly what they needed to do to win this game.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We might have got a little bit of a lucky break to start, but we took full advantage of that. Yeah, and then just played with what we had left in the tank, slowed the game down. Chicago wasn't, exactly well rested coming in, so we took advantage of that. Not the most energetic game at times, but we got the job done. That second goal, we had the first goal, felt pretty good. But when you added that second goal at the end of the period, you were like, oh, okay, we actually can win this one. This isn't just a fluke. And then, we scored kind of late, I think, in the third. It was kind of after we had a goal disallowed. I think like 12 seconds after
Yes.
Zardarian put one in the net, but their goalie's mask was, I guess, in the process of falling off. I'm at the other end of the ice. I did not even see that, so not long after that, we score a goal and take a 3-0 lead into the second intermission. No lead is safe, but you felt a lot better after that goal going into the intermission against Chicago. And then traded goals in the third. I really wish we'd have played a little bit harder at the end to get the shutout, but I'll take 5-1.
You need solid play, you need solid defense, you need to cash in on your chances, and you need a little bit of luck, and that's what that first goal was. The mythical Youngstown bounce has not worked in our favor the last couple times. It finally worked its way around, but Clark Cup Finals, Fargo. Anyways.
Well, I think we got like 2 of those this weekend, though. The Chicago one was actually, I think, more from the corner. I'm not exactly sure what happened there. That one was a little bit weird, but yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
So Phantoms 5 goals in this game. Of course, the lucky bounce to start the game off. That was Kyle Bettens, his 3rd of the season. Grant Porter picked up his first USHL goal. Jaden Grant, his 5th of the season. Ryan Alexander, his 6th of the season. And Justin Varner, his 3rd of the season. An empty net there at the end of the game. The Phantoms in this game went 1 for 3 on the power play, 1 for 2 on the penalty kill. They outshot Chicago 28-25. Kyle Chevette, this was his 2nd start in 24 hours. Stopped 24 of 25. Just saved for 1 late power play where Adam Fantilli was finally able to tap one in, get one past him, ruin the shutout with only 2 minutes, 13 seconds, something like that left. Okay, Justin, so what do you say we go ahead and jump into 4 points? I'll take that head nod as a yes.
Oh, okay. You wanted a comment there.
Mime doesn't really work on an audio podcast.
I thought that was the lead in.
Well, now that was the lead in. Okay, so we're going to get into 4 points here. For anybody that doesn't know, we break the previous weekend down into 4 categories. What we liked, what we didn't like, our favorite moment, and the weekend MVP. So I will kick it off with what we liked. The game on Sunday with Chicago, when it was all said and done, Adam Fantilli and Jackson Blake, the 2 leading scorers in the United States Hockey League, both ended up as a -3 in this game. So not only did the Phantoms control the top line, they were scoring goals when Chicago's top line was on the ice. That is just dominating a team right there, especially one with the caliber of Chicago's top line.
Yeah, and I mean, to make excuses for, they played the U18s, they were tired. These are players that we know, at least the Fantillis, we know what they're capable of. And yeah, to hold them to a -3, that's pretty darn good. For me, it was the fact that you're going to have to do some work on your spreadsheets.
Yes.
Through 6 periods, Saturday and Sunday. We're going to forget about Friday for a couple of these points. Yeah. Saturday and Sunday, we scored the first goal early, got out to a lead, and held those leads for the whole game. So, leading for the most of 6 periods, especially at home, that's a good thing. That makes Justin really happy.
Yeah, my blog by the numbers is starting up this week for the season. Youngstown's number as far as how much time they have led in games so far this season was starting to get a little shaky. The Phantoms scoring 3 minutes into the game on Saturday and then scoring 48 seconds into the game on Sunday and holding those leads for the entire game. Yeah, that made a drastic change with Youngstown's numbers once the weekend was all said and done. And that will be reflected when my blog is released sometime this week. Still got to write it, but whenever it's out there. Okay, so going on to what we didn't like. For me, and this kind of goes back to last weekend as well, it's no secret over the past very many years that Youngstown has never been known for their discipline and ability to stay out of the box. And surprisingly enough, that was something that they actually got a lot better at the very beginning of this season. You didn't see them taking those desperation penalties, those frustration penalties. Even in games when they were down, you saw a much more disciplined form of hockey until they started playing Cedar Rapids. Now, Cedar Rapids this year is horrifically undisciplined on the ice. They lead the league in penalty minutes by 1.5 miles, and it was almost like they drug Youngstown down to that level, and kind of bad habits started creeping up. And we saw the game as far as Chicago, once they were away from Cedar Rapids, got away from that. There was only a few penalties in that game, and it allowed Youngstown to play more of the game they want to play, instead of playing on their heels. But yeah, just Cedar Rapids is who they are right now, and just Youngstown playing down to that level. I think if Youngstown can stay away from that, that's going to give them a lot better chances in a lot of these games.
Yeah, I mean, some of that was you've got to play a little bit rough against them. You're going to take some penalties. There were some fisticuffs. Some of that was unavoidable. Schweighardt pretty much was obliged by Nate Hanley after that, immediately after that hit. So, it is what it is going forward. Yeah, we saw an improvement against Chicago, back to what we want. We'll just have to try to minimize it as much as we can the next time we play the Riders.
Now, granted, at the same time, like that series with Madison, the Phantoms were not undisciplined in those games as far as the penalties. And at the time, it's like, wow, but even they got steamrolled by Madison. And at the time, we're like, wow, what is wrong with the Phantoms? Having hindsight in that, which if we could just record these episodes 3 weeks after the games happen instead of right after, maybe we'd have a little more clarity there. But Madison's pretty much been steamrolling everyone. So it wasn't just us. We're not the only ones they've made look silly this year.
I mean, I kind of saw it. I mean, like I've been saying, they are better than they have any right to be. I don't know what it is. We'll have to figure it out.
It's amazing what happens when you delouse and de-suitor a team. Really makes a big difference.
Aye.
Okay, so what didn't you like about this past weekend?
It's kind of an offshoot of the penalty thing. We didn't take a whole lot of penalties in the Chicago game. I think there was only, 2 power plays for Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
However, with a few minutes left in the game, we could have tried to not take a penalty or just buckle down a little bit harder and kind of earn the shutout for Chavette.
Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to retake that one. I'm sure I'll do worse. But Chavette, he played the best game of his career that I've seen. The kid was standing on his head, and you want to see him get a shutout there. And he needed a little bit more help there at the end, and I guess didn't get it. So, but 5-1, I guess, if that's my only complaint, then.
All right, so my favorite moment of the weekend, I talked about a little bit before, would be the first period of the game on Sunday against Chicago. Like I said, there was an exact way the Phantoms had to play that period for it to end the way it did, and that's pretty much what happened. They get a lucky break very early in. Now, Chicago has been on a very lengthy winning streak against the Phantoms. So returning players coming into this season maybe have an idea of their head of what a game with Youngstown is going to go like. And then you get a bad bounce less than a minute into the game. All of a sudden you're down 1-0. Really, to me, looked like it took Chicago by surprise. The rest of the period, Chicago got their zone time. The thing, and I tweeted this out on Sunday. Chicago had their zone time. The Youngstown defense was not letting them get comfortable. It was a lot of one shot and done and out of the zone, blocked shots. And Chicago could not get comfortable in the offensive zone in that first period. And then to top it off, you get a goal with less than a minute left to kind of carry that momentum, into the intermission and coming out for the second period. And I'll say for the third time, this was exactly what Youngstown needed to do against this team. to start this game, and I thought they did it masterfully.
Yeah, I mean, they're not a team you want to get into a scoring race against. Up and down the ice game isn't going to work. We got ahead of them. Like you said, the defense, did not give them room to work. It was an evenly played game. We just took advantages of the chances that we got. They did not. That's exactly how you want to play it against Chicago, like you said. And yeah, that first period, especially when you got that goal at the end, and it just gave you that little bit of breathing room going into intermission. And, you had to feel really good about that.
All right. Your favorite moment?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, my favorite moment was going to be the Kyle Benton's shorthanded goal. That was just kind of a backbreaker. They're on a power play. It's still a kind of a tightly contested game at that point. He picks off a defenseman, takes the puck off ice, puts one in over Bruno Braveras. That's a hell of a name. But yeah, just a little stick move, faked him out, stretched him out a bit, waited and put it in. Big momentum boost for us. Shorthanded goals are always big. So that's my favorite moment.
All right, and for my weekend MVP, I'm going to go a little bit off the beaten path here. I'm going with Grant Porter. We had remarked several times on Friday, Grant Porter came into that game looking like he was shot out of a cannon. His skating, his puck movement. Yeah, I mean, it was all in a losing effort, but he was someone who was, to the casual fan, was extremely noticeable on the ice on Friday. And then was a healthy scratch on Saturday. I'm assuming healthy scratch. He was a healthy scratch on Saturday. That was a bit of a curiosity. He was back in the lineup on Sunday, and picked up a goal. And I can't say unfortunately, I haven't noticed him too much through the course of the season so far. He made himself very well known over this weekend. So for that, I'm giving him my weekend MVP. Okay, so to finish it off, your weekend MVP.
Kyle Chavette. Picked up the win on Saturday. Played pretty well on Saturday. Not going to rant and rave about it, but solid performance, got a win. Sunday rolls around. He gets the start with less than 24 hours. You're wondering, well, how much does he have left? I lost count of the unbelievable saves, the number of times that I'm just, throwing my hands up in the air, and then I'm like, wait, oh no, it didn't go in. Out challenging shots. I would define his glove hand as being cocky. I mean, he was flashing the leather like, Brodeur or Fleury.
Oh, he was in a groove there.
Yeah. I mean, he was showing it. He was obviously feeling it, seeing beach balls, en fuego, whatever sports cliche you want to throw out there. Yeah, 5-1, and like I said, I think we could have maybe worked a little harder and got him a shutout.
Okay, and that was this week's 4 points. So on Friday night after the game, I got the chance to speak with one of the newer members of the Phantoms defensive group. He hails from Kalamazoo, Michigan, and was the Phantoms Phase 2 first-round pick, and he is an Air Force Academy commit. That would be number 92, Chris Hedden. This was that conversation. Okay, so I'm here with Chris Hedden. Chris, this has been a heck of a last probably 4 or 5 months for you. Beginning of June, you go 5th overall in the Phase 2 draft. You end up winning a Robertson Cup, North American Hockey League championship with the Shreveport Mudbugs, probably one of the best hockey names ever. Make your USHL debut. Now you get to make your home debut here at the Gavelli Center. Just what has it been like these past 4 or 5 months for you?
It's been a roller coaster. I got drafted, and then we were going right into playoffs when that happened, and we actually ended up losing our first one, and then after that we just shut it down, and then we won the Robbie, and then the season started. We're off to a little bit of a slow start, but we're going to pick it up. We're getting better and better. We just got to figure out what clicks and what doesn't, and I can only see us getting better from here.
Okay, now typically like the pros, stuff like that you hear about on draft day, they're at the place where the draft is taking place. They're at home. What was draft day like for you? Like when you found out you were selected by the Phantoms?
I had a game that day, actually. We were in Amarillo, Texas, and I was at Olive Garden, and we were just eating lunch, and that's when I got drafted with all my buddies from Shreveport. So it was good to have all my buddies around me when it happened.
Okay. And final question, we got to see you on Youngstown Ice for the first time tonight. What do you want the fans to know about you, your game, what they can expect to see from you this season?
They can expect me to be a heavy player and make the easy plays when they come, and if I need to make the hard plays, make the ones that need to be made to score goals.
Chris, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And there you go. Big thank you to Chris for taking a few minutes after the game to talk with me. So moving on here, how about we look ahead to this weekend and to Monty Python's favorite hockey team, the Muskegon Lumberjacks.
Google it.
Google it. Yep, so for the first time this season, the Youngstown Phantoms will be traveling up to Muskegon this weekend to take on the Lumberjacks. The Phantom season hasn't started out all that great. Starting to look up, Muskegon has gone in the complete opposite direction of where they were at last year. So right now, 10 games into the season for Muskegon, 1 win, 6 losses, 1 overtime loss, 2 shootout losses. That is good for 5 points and last in the Eastern Conference. For comparison, the Phantoms currently sit at 4 wins, 6 losses, and 1 shootout loss, which is good for 9 points and 5th place in the Eastern Conference.
They're last in the league. Let's start using that phrase for Muskegon. Yeah.
Yeah. So, through their first 10 games, they're averaging 2.3 goals a game. They are giving up 5.3 goals a game, which is worst in the league. In comparison, Youngstown is only giving up 3.3 goals a game. Well, I say only compared to that. But yeah, Youngstown is giving up 3.3 goals a game. Muskegon's power play cashing in at a 16.7% rate. That's good for 7th in the East. Their penalty kill is at 66%. That is last in the entire USHL. Another point I want to bring up as far as special teams, Muskegon, no shorthanded goals so far in the season. Youngstown with 3 shorthanded goals, which right now is tied for Fargo for the league. As far as this weekend, that is a Friday and Saturday night game. Both games will be available on Hockey TV, and both of those games are scheduled for a 7:10 puck drop. Yeah, so what are your thoughts as far as the Lumberjacks this weekend? Keeping in mind not to get too cocky, we did this a couple weeks ago with Cedar Rapids.
Yeah, I mean, obviously teams can turn things around, as we saw this weekend, fortunately. But yeah, a lot of Muskegon's problems, I think, originate in their own zone. I think if they were to fix problems in their own zone, they'd be a lot more competitive, maybe not winning, but it would look a lot better. So hopefully they don't figure that out this weekend. We could really, use a team that has more issues than we do.
So on that note, what are your predictions for this weekend? No, I'm just kidding. Don't answer that. That was a joke. That was a joke. Don't answer that. We got out of that game a long time ago. I saw the steam coming out of your ears. Where that was a joke. No, we're not doing that.
Yeah, you were about to get a really sarcastic answer there. But yeah.
All right, so what do you say we kick up the creepy carousel music and get the heck out of here? Okay, so as always, thank you everybody for listening along, and don't forget to check out next week's episode. We will be back. Of course, we'll have the recap of this weekend with Muskegon and be looking forward to the weekend series at the Covelli Center with the Madison Capitals. And also in that episode, there will be an interview with Phantoms defenseman Trey Taylor. That was a really good one. That was a lot of fun to do. So make sure you tune in next week for that. As always, the Dump and Chase podcast is brought to you by hockeyfan.com. We are also syndicated on ohiohockeydigest.com, your one-stop shop for all levels of hockey in the state of Ohio. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Those links are in the description, as well as all the places where you can listen to this show, from YouTube to Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music. And, don't forget to tell a friend. The more subscribers we get, the more Justin's hairline starts growing back. We're aiming for 1980s John Bon Jovi.
Wait, I thought it was David Lee Roth.
Hey, take your pick. And last, but certainly not least, is to all of you who tune in every week. Thank you so much. Through good times and bad, you keep showing up and supporting us, and it absolutely means the world to us. So for Justin Irwin, I'm Sam Olmstead. And all I can really say to finish this out is that we beat Chicago. We beat Chicago, and no one in Chicago wants to talk about it.
Nope. Crickets.